Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Deserts of Plenty, podcast about making our way in this crazy mixed up world by examining the three pillars of health: mental, physical, and spiritual, in order to have real tools to help us live a more enlightened, interesting, content, happy life. All right. So today I want to chat about something from my own life, which I guess, let's face it, I guess I normally do. Anyway, when I was a kid, I was maybe like 7 or 8, somewhere around that age. And my sister is about a decade older than me, so she would have been about 17, 18 at the time. She was helping my mother with dinner, and she was making boiling potatoes. And after cutting them up, she put them in a pot, and she went over to the sink to add water. And when she did, she added cold water. And me being, my precocious, also capricious, but also precocious. My precocious self wanted to know, like, well, why put cold water in the potatoes? If you put hot water in, the water would boil faster and be more efficient. I'm sure I didn't use exactly those words, but I was really curious, like, why not just put hot water in? Because it would be, and she said, oh, no, cold water boils faster than hot water. And I was like, oh, I did not know that. And from that day on, for quite a long time, I believed that. And one day, I'm sure I'm in my teens, 15, 16, and I'm adding, because from the point my sister told me to do that, I never questioned it or even thought about it. I just put cold water in. And then one day I was doing that, and I was like, that's not true. That's not true. I hadn't even thought to think about it or question it for like well over a decade. And then one day I'm like, that is completely made up. That's not true. Hot water will definitely boil faster than cold water will, because it's already on its way. So I decided to find out why cold water should be added. So this is in the days before internet. So can't remember how I found the answer. Might have been going to a library, reading a book. I might have been asking people. But the answer that I came up with, or that was given to me, was, oh, the thing is hot water will dissolve more of the minerals in these days, copper pipe, or maybe aluminum pipe, or it'd be lead pipe in the old days. So that's why you use cold water, because the hot water is more likely to have minerals also from the hot water heater. The hot water heater. The water heater. It's not a hot water heater. It's a water heater. So it doesn't heat hot water. It keeps hot water hot. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Anyway, so that was the point. And so, okay, well, that makes total sense. So then I went back for the next 20, 30 years very happily. Anytime I would boil anything on the stove, adding cold water to it, not hot water, and thinking about that. And then one day I was like, how do I know that's true? How do I know that's the reason to use cold water? And just because I read it and it made sense to me, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I just accepted it and didn't question it. Now, of course, we're talking about, adding water to a pot and cooking some vegetables on a stove, hardly earth-shattering stuff. But it is an interesting question, right? Why was I so eager to believe that? And once you do believe something, especially in childhood, right? Because there is a thing with human beings, belief persistence. Once you believe something, it's really hard to overcome that. Between the time where I knew hot water boiled faster and I didn't know why, I still could not put, I couldn't get a pot of potatoes, go to the sink and fill it with hot water and boil it. I tried a couple times and it just felt wrong. It's like, even though I have no idea why I'm doing this, and it would make more sense to put hot water in it, I can't bring myself to do it. And I assume that was belief persistence, although, it might have also been, well, maybe there really was a compelling reason that I just don't know about. And if my mother uses cold water, I should use it too. Anyway, so that's all. It's just, well, how do we know what we know? And so this is a very interesting thing because we're not our thoughts, which is something that was really hard for me to understand. And so a few years after I figured out I figured it out, still don't know for 100% sure if it's true or not. And especially now with modern buildings, although I'm not going to use hot water. Anyway, we really hung up on this. A few years ago, when my first marriage ended, uh, I, thought, I had some real beliefs that I had about myself, a list of nouns that I had by my name. And these, in my mind, defined me. You know, I was a husband, I was a father, I was a homeowner, provider. Like I was all these things. And it basically, in a couple of months, most of that went away. I'm still a father, but husband, no. Homeowner, no. Uh, and all this like being with someone and building towards a future, and that's all gone. So it's really discombobulating to see yourself a certain way and overnight have that all snatched away from you. And like, well, who am I? And that experience, as tough as it was in the time, subsequently became one of the best things that ever happened to me because I figured out that I am not my thoughts and I am not this laundry list of nouns. And so now, what I like to do based on my previous with all of this is to ask myself, what is true? And what do I believe? And I think this is a really good um, thing to consider. So I'm saying good thing to consider. I'm not give advice. Don't take anything I say as advice. I talk about things that I find interesting. And if you want to do these things, do them in a way that's right and safe for you. But I like to get in the mirror and ask myself what is true. And then if I figure out that something is true, I'm like, well, how do I know that that's true? How do I know that hot water dissolves more minerals and that's why you shouldn't cook with it? How do I know that? Or how do I know that, I'm a father or a husband? Or how do I know, these people I think don't like me? How do I know they don't like me? I like to ask myself those questions, especially the hard ones. How do I know? How do I know? And so ask yourself, how do I know? Or what do I believe? What do I believe? I believe X. I believe people are fundamentally good, or people are fundamentally bad, or I believe in, I don't know, anything. I believe in ghosts. I believe in God. I believe people are fundamentally good. I believe that everything happens for a reason. Second question after that question is, how do I know that's true? Okay. How do I know people are fundamentally good? Right. Third part, what if that's wrong? What if it's wrong? What if this thing that I believe fundamentally, and I know why I know it, what if it's wrong? And then what does my life look like if that's wrong? So what do I believe? Why do I believe it? What if that's wrong? What does my life look like if that's wrong? I think these are really interesting questions to ponder and think about because one of the benefits for me of letting go, of realizing I'm not my thoughts, is that, of course, I have new thoughts and new paradigms in my head. But if something happens to challenge one of those, it's very easy for me to let it go because I've gone through this process of purging already and came back stronger than before. And so now I actually kind of enjoy when something I believe is questioned or not threatened. Well, maybe threatened is the right word, but I can change a paradigm and I can have a new paradigm, and I can get even smarter or know more or understand better or be more helpful. And I have to tell you, there's so much power in being able to let go of everything that you think. Like, I'm not my thoughts, doesn't change who I am. In my core, um, all those things, all those nouns that I thought it was. That's not who I am. And I'm still figuring out who I am. I'm 57 almost. I'm still figuring it out. And it's changing. It's never going to be static. And that's a good thing, because to me, that's the whole thing about life is living this life and figuring out who the hell we are. That's the goal. Anyway, that's my 10 minutes for today. So I'm hoping you're all having a great week, and I'll see you back here next time for more Deserts of Plenty. Take care. Bye.